What's the problem? Hello? Yeah, I think there is a problem.
हैंडल अनम्यूट करना अपने आपको
Yeah, I think there is a problem. Like the live session is not enabling in the other channel. Can
which
you
one?
tell me which?
नो आइडिया मैंने कभी करे नहीं दोनों एक साथ
And then it's already started. The live is already started.
Okay. So hi everyone. I think there is an issue. Like this, this live session should be available from like both the YouTube channels, like GDSC, DSCSIT. But I think there is some issue. So let
एक
me
सेकंड वन
start.
सेकंड वन सेकंड वन सेकंड वन सेकंड
Okay, sure. Hi everyone. I'm sorry for the delay. So I think there's some technical issue because like the other channel, because we can't go live from the other channel also. So that's not a problem. We can start the session. So hello and good evening. I welcome each one of you. And today, as you know, is the second session on Flutter festivals. And yeah, so my name is Oindrila, and I will be the host for today's session. And we will dive deep into Dart essentials today. So I'm the GDSC lead of Dr. Sudhir Chandrashur Institute of Technology, and also one of the organizers to Flutter festivals. And along with me, I have Harsh. So Harsh is like from GDSC NIT Kurukshetra, and we are also bringing you like these sessions in collaboration with a handful number of GDSCs, and the name of all those GDSCs are GDSC BBSBEC, GDSC GECB SP, GDSC SIT Pune, GDSC NLJIET, GDSC TKR College of Engineering and Technology, GDSC NITJ, GDSC UPES, and GDSC GAMR Institute of Technology. So, me along with Harsh Chabra and Noman Khan will be the organizers for today. And we are also having a very special guest with us. For those who have attended the first session may already know her, but for the rest, let me give a brief about Devoshmita Sharkar ma'am. So, ma'am is working as an SDE2 in Unicars, and she has 6 years of experience mostly on front end development, and she is also an early adapter of Flutter. She has developed and shipped more than 8 applications in Flutter, and she is very passionate about giving tech talks. And she has also given a lot of tech talks in various events such as DevFest 21 and Google I/O Extended. So, in her free time, she also likes to make content and help the community. So, with this note, I would like to welcome Devoshmita ma'am on the session, and I hope you will be, you are very much excited for today's session as well. And we can start with ma'am now.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi, Angela.
Hello ma'am.
Yeah, so I hope yesterday you had joined, and yesterday's session was about the introduction of Flutter, and today we will be knowing about the language behind Flutter, which is Dart. So I would again like to know about your expectation from this session first, and also like how much you have experience in in Dart, or maybe you are complete beginner. So if you can let me know all these things in the comment section, that would be really really great. I think we can start, right, Angela?
Yeah, hello ma'am. I'm sorry,
I'm
can you
sorry.
please?
Can we can start, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can start the session now.
Angela, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah,
Can you see? Okay, I think you
yeah,
can see that.
valid.
Since a lot of you have told me yesterday that you guys are complete beginner on Flutter, and also you wanted to know if you are switching from different technologies like Java or C++, if it is like how difficult is it, right? So we will be going with actually the essential thing you needed on Dart to kind of start Flutter. We'll not go deep into what Dart can do, only the essential stuff, right? So in between, if you have any question, if you have any doubt, just let me know. Indira can be like ask me those questions, right? Cool. So let's start. This is a basic Dart program, right? So it starts with main function, and there are a couple of things, couple of lines here. This is a function which this main function is calling, right? So to practice Dart, there is a very cool website which is dartpad.dev. Here you can write your Dart codes and run these and see the errors or the console. In console you can see the output and all the stuff, right? A typical Dart program would start executing from main function. So when you are writing a Dart program, it is absolute essential to write the main function, right? So we will be having that. Now let's go ahead with some of the concepts. So Dart is a object oriented language. So everything inside a Dart would be object, and objects are, this objects are instance of classes, right? Now like though Dart is a strongly typed language, it can infer types. I'll explain these things later. I will talk about some keywords also, right? So let's just start with some variables. So the first thing is, how do I write a variable? So let's start doing that. To write a variable, the keyword is var, right? So variable, let's say name, and I can write my name, right? So as I was saying that Dart is a strongly typed language, but it can infer types, right? So here I have not mentioned the type. So let's see if it can infer the type. So I will be printing the type of this name variable, right? Here also you can see this says string name, right? So let's see the compile type. If you see this is the runtime type of name variable which is string. So Dart here Dart is actually inferring type. So if I put I have put name here which is a string, right? So if I put a number, let's say 1, it would be what number, right? So it's int. So number has two types, int and double. So we'll come to that also. So this is how you write a variable. If you don't want to write the var keyword, what you can do is you can mention the type, which actually um, comes here, right? The built-in types of Dart. So there are some types in Dart which are first, let's start with numbers. Numbers can be either integer or double. So in some languages it's float, right? So float is equal to double. Now, there can be strings, booleans, and also obviously there would be arrays, right? So arrays are known as lists in Dart. There are sets also. So sets are nothing but it's unique group of unique elements, right? There are also maps, which is a key value pair. So these are actually some expression to kind of evaluate expression or regular expression. You can use runes. Symbols also is not that much needed. So there is also a type called null. So before Dart, I guess 2.12, there the objects, the null was included in object type. But now you cannot, in recent version of Dart, you cannot, the object and null is a totally different type. So null is where you don't assign a variable, right? So that's null. So if you want to do that now in recent version of Dart, then you have to specify that this variable that you are writing is will accept null, right? So these are some types. So let's write some examples, right? So we have already seen integer and a string. So what else? Booleans, I think you all know what a Boolean type is. There are lists and sets. So let's try to write a list. So I can write a list like this. So to write a list, I have to write this square braces, and let's say it will be a list of integer. Again, since Dart can infer type, you can see that this is a list of integer. I can specifically also put the type here. So let's say this would be a list of integer, right? So this is how you write a list. Now, we'll see this example of sets and maps also. Let's move ahead. So there is something called late variable in recent Dart version. So let's say, like, if I want to write a variable, I will be right. So now, if I don't want to assign it, right? So let's say if I want to print this, what would it print? It would print null, right? So let's say I know that this variable is right now I cannot initialize this variable since I don't have the sort of the value for it. But later in my function this variable would get initialized, then I can put the late keyword. Let's say, so I am calling a function, um, say assign name, right? And this assign name function would give me the name variable. So assign name is returning something, right? Now like what's happening is when you are declaring this variable, right, you don't know that what this value of this variable would be. But later when you are your function is getting executed, and at that time your value would be getting initialized, then you can like beforehand you can write a late keyword. So this is the use for this only. Also, let's say okay, so let me print this. So it's printing name. uh, can you tell me, if I do not assign this name variable which is declared as late and try to print it, what happens? You can see this, this is quite fast, right? So if you do not assign a late variable and try to access this, there would be an error. So it says this variable is declared late, but it is not assigned yet. So there is no value. So that's why it's throwing an error. So you have to remember that. Now like there are something called final and constant keywords, right? So I'll tell you the difference between it and why you should write final and constant. So both of these final and constant keywords are, let's say you have a value that won't be changed throughout your entire program, right? When your program is getting executed, that value is would not change, right? So you can either put it under constant or final, right? So let's say I put this name as final. And so by final I mean that throughout my whatever program I would be writing below this, right? This name variable would not change, right? So what happens when we try to reassign this, right, try to change this? Can you tell me what will happen? Are you guys listening, or do you have any question? You can like put in the comment section actually. So like if you try to assign this name variable, there would be some error. So it says the value of the local variable name would be can be set only once because you have declared it as final variable. Now, the final variable must be known as runtime. What does that mean is, let's say I do assign, let's say what gets executed at runtime, right? So let's say the time now, right? So if I try to assign this inside this final variable, it's fine. So final variable, like when if you put this as final and you put something which is getting calculated at runtime, this is fine. So let's run this. So it would be printing the time at the time the function is running, right? Now the difference between constant and final is let's say if I both does the same thing. You cannot reassign a final or constant variable. So if you have a constant variable, that should be known, the value should be known at the compile time, not the runtime. So let's say I have the, say, name constant, this is a variable name. So if I try to put let's say some value, this is known to the compiler at compile time, right? Right, because we are hard coding this and initializing this right away. So this is fine by constant. Now if I try to do the same thing, right, I try to put something which is getting calculated at runtime, it will actually throw error. So it will say that the constructor being is not a constant. Try doing the constant from the constructor invocation, because this is getting called at the this is getting calculated at the runtime, not the compile time, right? So you have to keep that in mind. Now I was telling about these are covered, right? So constant and final cannot be reassigned. That we have already seen. Now there is a trick, right? So let's say I am assigning a map. So this is how you write a map. Or let's say let's write a list, not map. You see, I have already initialized this list, and this is an empty this is an empty list, right? So if I try to add some elements to the list, should it let me add the elements, or should it throw error? It will actually not throw error. So this is the sort of the the trick. So the object which you have already assigned cannot be reassigned. But if I try to do this, it will throw me error, because this cannot be reassigned, right? But you can add some values to it. Let's see what happens when we do this. It's the same thing. Like you can add values to a constant list also. Cool. Do you have any question? I'll stop sharing for a bit, and I'll see if there are any question. Someone is saying the skin screen is blurred. Can you guys see my screen properly?
Yeah, ma'am, for me, from my side, it was visible.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So let me share again. So I don't think, okay. So someone has asked what is the difference between final and constant, right? So I have already answered. So yeah, so let me, hey, the screen got cut. Can you, am I audible and visible?
Yes, yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Cool. So let's move ahead with the rest of the things, right? So we were till final versus constant, right? So what is a, so I have already told you how to write a list, a set, and how to write a map. Let's go deep into it. So list is you have known about array for your entire life, right? So in Dart, arrays are list, which are ordered group of objects. Now set also, I think you know, Set would be the unique sort of collection of objects which are unordered. And also map will hold a key value pair, so lots of key value pairs will be there inside a map. So let's see some examples, right? So this is a list of we will also see some of the operations inside a list. So this is typically how you write a list. To add something to a list, you can add something. Let's say I have added the 6 value. Let's print this list. To remove, so what will happen? Yeah, so it will remove the 6 variables. So let's try with one also. Let's see if it is working. Yeah. So this is how you can add or remove a list. So there are other operations which are actually will be very useful when you are writing code in for Flutter, right? Which is, let's say, list have like a lot of stuff. You can add a list here inside a list. You can cast this list, all this stuff. So I'm mostly interested about this where this method. So what does it return is, so if you see the return type, so it returns a iterable or sort of a like list gets converted to iterable when there are some functions going on, right? So what does it do is, let's say like you can have any operation inside here, and that like it can create a new list, right? So let's say I want to like iterate this list, and I want to see, so it will iterate over all the elements, right? I want to return all the elements which are greater than 3. So what I'll do is, it will return you a iterable of like the elements which are greater than 3, which would be 4 and 5, right? So, and since if you see this returns you a iterable, I want to convert it to a list, so I would be doing calling this to list to convert it to a list. So now like since this list is getting converted, we are not saving this anywhere, so let's save this list. So let's say this is list 2. So if I run this, it would return 4 and 5. So this is actually pretty useful when you would be like filtering something, or like mostly in case of filtering you need this. There are also like some methods called index of, so if you want to know the like index of, let's say, this 4 value, then you can use that. Let's say index of 5, and that would not return a list, it would return a integer index. And let's return index. So these are some of the operations. You can try it out, like you can have fun with it. So array starts with 0, of course. So the index is 4, right? um, let's try to write a set. How do we write that? What does it say? Let's try to assign some, let's say this would be a set of, for, right? So now we can, let's say I want to add something to this set. Let's say since set is a unique, a collection of variables, if I try to add 4 also, it would not get added. Sorry, I have to add, yeah. So let's see if I try to add 4, let's see what happens. So it would return only 4 elements because this is set won't allow you to add the elements which are already like there. So that it can maintain this like unique sort of unique collection of variables of like integers, right? So this is how you write a set. There are same operations there inside a set which were there inside list also. This is how you write a map. So map is actually collection of key value pairs, right? So if you want to put the type of map, you can put like this. So now I forgot to mention one thing. Let's say you don't know the type of something, you can write dynamic, right? So inside map, generally it would be key value pair, right? So the key would be like mostly we put keys as a string, but the value can be anything. So the value can be string, very integer, double, boolean, anything else, right? So it's safe to have dynamic, and we can have all those values like so let's say I can have name, which can be string. I can have, let's say, phone number, which can be 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a number or integer. I can have, let's say, is human, which is a, let's say, this is a Boolean variable. So I can also have that. Yeah. Right? So this is how you write a map, and this is how you access the map, right? So I have written some key value pairs. If I want to know the value of name, what I'll do is I'll put some a square brace, and I'll put inside the key name, right? So if I do that, it will return me the name. This is how you access the values of a map. So there are a lot of things, like you can also get the keys of a map, you can change the keys, you can also like add some values or like key value pair to the map itself. So all those operations can be done. You can play around with map. There are a lot of things, like mostly in daily like every day I use map like in a lot of places, right? So that this map would be actually pretty useful data structure for you. Other than that, let's say there is something called so there are lots of operators you'd be knowing. So all these like operators are pretty common, you have seen it everywhere. So like there are certain kind of operators which probably you have not seen, so like those are a sort of advanced level thing. So when you are a little familiar with the dart, then you can explore those operators. I would tell you one operator, which is a spread operator, which actually is 3 dots, right? So let's say I had actually created this list, right? Now I want to create a list too, which would have a copy of this list. So what I'll do is I'll write the spread operator, and I'll write like this. So if I do this, it's print list two. So I can add some values to it also while I am adding the list, like I'm assigning this list to a spread operator. So this should have the values of list, and additionally it will add a value which is 8 to this list, right? Do you have like any questions around the operator or anything? You can just write it down. Also, like I would little bit tell you about this operator, which is double dot, right? So now let's say if I do list dot add, right? Right, let's see what actually add returns you. It doesn't return anything, it's void, right? But I want this list to have this add this value inside it, and I want it to be returning the entire the whatever value I have put inside the list with this 8, right? So that's when you use this double dot operator, which will actually return you the object itself, whatever object you have. It will return that, and it will perform this operation. So this was the spread operator. So we would be moving towards functions. So just like everything in Dart are objects, functions are also objects. I'll give you a proof of that. Let's see that example first, right? So let me clear out everything. So I'm writing a function called, let's say, function one. And what this function does is takes another function as a parameter. And what does it do? It actually calls this function inside its body, right? Now, I have this function too. And also, let's say it prints something before calling the function. Also, print is a function which is defined inside Dart, right? Let's say it is function one. And I am writing another function, and this would do nothing. It would just print something, right? Now, so what I have done till now is this is a function which is taking a function as a parameter, and I am executing that function inside this function body. And main is also a function, right? So inside main, I'll be calling this function one, and I would be passing this function two as a parameter. This is actually possible in Dart. See, first this is getting called, and since I'm passing this as a parameter and just calling this function two is also getting called. So functions can be passed. Functions are, so if you see the like type, function has a type of function, but it can be these are also objects, right? This is a typical example of function that I have already shown you. There is something called anonymous functions, right? So let's see an example of that. Let's say list. I'm writing a list, and I would be iterating that list. And yeah, so what I can do is, This is a for each function. For each uh, for each variable inside this list, I would be doing something. Let's say print this variable, right? So if you see this function inside it, this function actually doesn't have any name, right? This is just a function there, and it's getting called and it's executing, right? So this sort of syntax, if you see, that is an anonymous function where you don't define, like there is no name, and this function would be called when you are like calling this, right? So this is an anonymous function. Let's see if this works. So it's printing the values, right? So like after parameters, let's see if there are any questions, right? So I'll be talking about parameters, right? So you have seen that this is how you write some parameters, right? So what I'll be doing is, let's clear this out. So when I'm writing a function, let's assign the function type to it. So there can be sorry, void. Sorry, the return type is void. Yeah. So there can be default parameters, right? So let's say I am taking an integer. So this is a default parameter. Now there can be named parameter also. So if you want to write named parameters, what you have to do is you have to write some the named parameters inside curly braces. So let's say inside curly brace I write name, and also I write let's say age, right? Now you see here, it says cannot have a value of null, because implicitly, so I was telling you this, right? So if you want to have in newer Dart version, if you want to assign a variable, like if you want to see here inside this function, this is a required parameter, right? So like if I try to call this function without this, it would be throwing me an error saying that this cannot be called until and unless you assign this, right? You put this record parameter, you pass this as an argument, right? Now when I'm writing this, right, the parameters inside curly braces, these actually makes the parameter optional, right? So now when I'm writing optional parameters, Dart wants to know if these parameters are like, if these are, it understands that these parameters are not required. So if I do not pass any value to these parameters would be null, right? So to like in newer Dart version, object and null is differentiated, right? So if I put question mark, that makes it like this name nullable. So it means that if you don't pass anything as name, it will be null. So we are assigning, sort of not assigning, we're telling that this parameter can be null. So that's why you have to write like this question mark to check, like to tell that this parameter can be null. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is, let's say you have written this named parameters, but if you want these parameters marked as required, so then you can use this required keyword. If you do that, see, the error is gone, because now if I call this function and pass only one as a like as this integer n, it tells me that these are required parameters, so I have to pass these also. To pass the main parameters, I have to write like this. So the name of the parameter colon the value. Same thing for the next one. This is how you take like name parameters, and this is how you pass those as argument, right? So there is something called positional parameter also. So instead of curly brace, if I do this, let's do with one only. So what happens is this again makes this parameter as like optional. If you don't want to mention it, it's fine, but if you want to mention it, how would you do that? You just pass it as a string, and you don't have to like write like this. So these are this is only for a named parameter. If you want a positional parameter, then that is also optional, like named parameter, but you don't have to write the parameter name colon the value, because this is a positional parameter. So these are some sort of parameters that you can have inside function, right? So let me stop for a little bit. I can see some questions. What is iterables? So iterables are like when you are iterating a list or set, it becomes iterable. So it actually helps you iterate through the list or the set. And if you want to get back a list, you can convert it to a list after the operation, right? Index of is very useful, yes. Then okay, what is index of? I have already told this. List inside list, you can use index of value that you have inside list, and you can get the index of that value. So there are some questions around set also. To set is the same thing as to list. So you can convert you can convert the iterable to set, or something else to set. So for that, to set will give you a set. I am not sure about how to use starting code for cells. I'm not actually familiar with that. You can if you want to practice Dart, you can use Dartpad. That's actually pretty handy. Okay, so let me move ahead with rest of the things. Cool. So these are control flow statements in Dart, just like any other language. If else, for loops are there, while, do while, all this thing are there. Switch case is also there. So these are pretty common. So I'm not explaining these. So these are like you can just use this and you'd be familiar with it. There is no syntax change or anything else is different from any other language. So now classes, right? So how do we write a class? Okay, so cool. So let's write a class here. To write a class, we would be using the class keyword, right? Let's say class human, or let's say person. This is how you write a class. And if you want to have some variables inside a class, which you would of course do, right? So let's say there is a variable called name, and if I want to like see this it started giving me errors saying that you have to assign a value to it, or you have to tell that this is null or not, or you can do like create, telling that this variable would be initialized lazily or lead. So what we would do is how to we'll be writing some constructor, right? So when you are creating a class, automatically the default constructor would be provided to you. But let's see how that looks like. So I want to name put a final keyword to it, because let's say I'm creating a object of a person. I don't want that value to be changed inside this person class. So that's why final. So I can write a constructor like this. So what it would do is, like when I try to create an object, let's try to do that. Right now it would start giving me error saying that there is a like name is there which you have to put, right? So let's say this, and this is how you write a class. And if I want to print this name, I can just do this. So this is very easy to write a class. If you want to create an abstract class, you just can write the abstract keyword. So let's say abstract class human. And if you want your person to extend this abstract class, what you can do is you can use the extends keyword saying that person actually extends human. So this is how you write abstract classes and normal classes, right? So now we were talking about the normal default constructors, right? Let's see what's a named constructor. So there is something called named constructor in Dart, which actually gives you some clarity about what the constructor actually does. So let's say, let me remove this. Let's say I want this want a named constructor saying okay person dot create. So I can create, I can have that. Create. Uh, so So this is how you write a named constructor. So now if you want to like call this and create an object of person, then you cannot like once you create once you put a named constructor inside your class, there won't be any default constructor provided for you, right? So in this case, this won't work. This will throw you an error. So like we'll have to call like this. So this is about creating the named constructor. So let's see something like let's say I want this. I want a class called employee, and that class would be extending this person class, right? This is how I write it. Now you would be seeing some error saying that the superclass person does not have a zero hour increment constructor. So you have to call this superclass constructor explicitly, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a constructor of employee, Let's say this is also a name constructor, and let's create a value, like put a value, let's say employee name, this variable. And this is how you call the super classes constructor. So employee, why does it throw it? The person doesn't have a name, unnamed constructor. Yes, and okay, okay. Sorry. You have to put create, right? Now it will not throw it. Cool. So now let's say if you want to do anything else with this function body, you can do that. Like sorry, the constructed body. So if you don't want to do anything inside constructed body, you just can leave it. You don't have to add the curly braces. So if you add that, it actually gives you an info or warning saying that you can remove that. This is like pretty much not used. So let's do one thing. Let's print something here. Let's say inside person, right? Also here we'll be doing the same thing. Why is it trying error? Okay, okay, let's remove this first. This is again trying. Okay, okay, I forgot curly brace. That's why it's throwing me error. Okay, cool. So let's print inside employee. And what we will be doing is we'll not create the object of a person, we'll create the object of an employee. Cool. So let's run this. So first, this super class constructor is getting called, and then this is getting called. So that's why it's first person and then employee. And then again, since we're assigning a name to this employee class, like this employee object, then we can print that. So these are some tricks to like create class. This is some like pretty basic stuff. So you can start with this. So this I already explained. So mostly like I'm done with the mostly I'm done with the Dart essentials. If you have some questions, I can answer those now. How to inherit multiple classes, right? I can see this question. So you can inherit multiple classes. So you can actually implement a class and then you can also extend a class. That's how you do it. If you know Java, how much of Dart must I know? Like you can start with Dart. And it's like whatever I have told you till now. It's pretty essential stuff, and would be needing you would need that to start with Flutter. You if you know like a lot of Java also, right? It cannot be useful when you are writing like if you are creating any application because Flutter doesn't use Java. Like in terms of strongly typed language, like in Java, you have to provide type for everything. So you can like it would actually feel a little weird that Dart can infer types, and you can just write variable something, and it would be assigned. Like when you assign the value, Dart can infer the type of that variable. But other than that, I think like it's not that difficult. Rather than that, it's quite easy in Dart. So if we don't, there is something called assert. So assert, actually, let me show you what assert is. So let's say int I equals to 4. So I call this assert and I say I equals to 4 assert. So it will tell me that uh, like if it is true, like if it is true, it will tell me that okay, so asserting this is true. So this is why like you so it's just to check some parameters that is if that value or the calculation is right or not. In that case you do assert. Mostly like we would be using, you'd be probably using assert in test cases. Most of the time I have used there. So whatever the values that coming from a function, if it is already there, if it is not null, so you do assert. Cool. If there are no more question, I want to also show. Yesterday, I forgot to, like, some of you were asking me how they can connect me, or like there were particular questions on particular code, or how, like, some of you have asked if like your application is too big and you how to like make it smaller. So you can connect me on my like all the handles, like in LinkedIn. Mostly I am active on LinkedIn or Twitter. So I'll be sharing the, let me share for like 2 minutes. So these are my handles. You can like connect me there. I am pretty much active on LinkedIn and Twitter. So yeah, if like if you have any doubt or something, if you're stuck somewhere, you can just ask me whenever I get time. I would be answering those questions. Cool. I think we can end the session.
Yeah, ma'am, sure. A very insightful session.
Thanks. I actually did not want it to be too much technical, but it's essential of Dart, and you it had to be a little technical. It would have been better if it was not virtual, but what can we do?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Absolutely.
It's great to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Suman. Thanks, everyone who have joined and listened to me. I hope you start with Flutter like today itself. And I hope that this session has given you a little bit of boost on learning that.
So thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you everyone who have joined. And you can, those of you who have missed the beginning of the session, you can just like you can find the entire session recorded on the YouTube channel of Codeflow. So thank you everyone, and goodbye.
Bye, guys.